The Crew of Bacchus was born in 1968 and is a production like none other in the Mardi Gras season. The journey to what we now know as Bacchus Sunday was a mixture of regional vision, civic pride, and a desire to create a parade that would be spectacular by nature and bigger than any other during the carnival season. In effect, the template for the first Super Crew parade.
The Crew of Bacchus, 50 years of magic and innovation that changed Mardi Gras and New Orleans forever.
And it is a story well remembered by those who were there in the beginning. To carnival crowds, Bacchus is a super crew, known for its celebrity king, a first-rate parade featuring spectacular floats, special throws, even a menagerie of oversized animals. To experts, Bacchus is about rewriting carnival history. The crew's founders were leaders of the city's hospitality industry who felt that Mardi Gras in the 1960s needed a boost.
We felt that at that time Mardi Gras was regressing from a visitor to the city standpoint. The occupancy for the Mardi Gras weekend and well, through Mardi Gras Day was running 40% or less.
And the weekend before Mardi Gras was nothing like it is now, with just a handful of small parades. That's where Bacchus comes in. Owen Brennan Jr., known as Pip, would become the founding captain. After a few early meetings at Brennan's restaurant, a membership meeting was held at the Royal Orleans Hotel.
We had pretty close to 500 men show up. We had about 250 join. It just showed that, in our opinion, the need for people who were interested in participating as well as trying to do something quite different.
So what was different?
They said, we're going to make floats bigger and better than anybody else. And they did. They made them larger. In those days, by gosh, a float hold 8 people, 10 people. They made floats right off the bat to 25 and 30 people. Huge.
We wanted to be sure that the riders were going to throw a lot of beads and a lot of the balloons and a lot of trinkets, because after all, that is New Orleans. And then we wanted to be sure that we had plenty outstanding marching bands. And then what I think really captured a lot of people, especially New Orleanians, we decided to bring the parade into the Rivergate.
What got even more attention was the Celebrity King.
We wanted to have a celebrity king that would bring a lot of international and national publicity to the city, mainly to the city and to the celebration.
The first Bacchus was actor Danny Kaye, a close friend of Pip Brennan's Aunt Ella.
We were in the stage of, goodness gracious, how did we get what did we do to get a celebrity king? So she said, well, I have an idea. What do you think if I would call Danny Kaye and see what's what? So she called him, and he said, oh man, that sounds like fun. That sounds like something I'd like to do. Sure, I'll be glad to do that.
He would be the first in a line of 50 celebrity kings. Actors, comedians, musicians, and more, all of whom had starring roles in the past, but never as Bacchus, the god of wine. And through the years, Bacchus has presented some of the most recognizable people in the world.
rendezvous is over, the very next Monday, the Monday after Lundi Gras, we start our meeting to discuss the prior year and to move forward with the new year. So Bacchus, and I'm sure most crews are year-round operations because it takes a lot to put everything together for a one-night event.
Although it has a nice final ending point every year with the parade, I kind of like where everything comes to a fruition with one day. But at the same time, it's ongoing where we're planning 6 months, 18 months, even up to 36 months in advance for the day to come.
Prior to the basics of getting floats painted, decorations designed, and coordinating the myriad of details prior to the start of the Mardi Gras season, there must first be a theme.
The 50th, it was primarily the color gold. I did not want to do a rehashing of themes from the past for the 50th anniversary. I liked the gold concept. It was our golden anniversary. So going along with that, I wanted bright colors. It is a nighttime parade, and I didn't want to get the artistry lost in the darkness along St. Charles or the other streets that we travel down there. I wanted people to be able to appreciate the art.
The theme is brought to life by designer Manuel Ponce of Kern Studios.
Usually I get a title and then a list of, sometimes it can be 50 or 60 ideas. And from there, I usually take that list and work with the prop director at Kern Studios. So it begins with deciding which props go with which floats. And then I start doing my thumbnails, which are essentially rough sketches. And once those are approved, we kind of whittle those down to maybe 30 ideas. Once those are approved, then I'll start working on the actual designs.
One of the fun things that I do for Bacchus as being a member of the float committee is we get to go to Mardi Gras World and shop. We get to shop for props. They have thousands of props here. First of all, I get together with the artist, Manuel, and we walk props and we have a general theme that we're trying to work on for each particular float. And so you have to have the right main prop, which is really the big figure on the front of the float, and then you have complementary props and painting on the side that makes the float come alive and kind of tells that little short story at 4 miles an hour is when the float passes you on the street. So it's a lot of guys that volunteer their time. It's very fun. It's something that you really have to enjoy. It's our hobby. Some people golf, I do Mardi Gras.
And from there, the look and the feel of the parade starts to come together, from the floats to the throws.
One of the biggest committees that I work with every year is actually George's committee, the Bead and Doubloon Committee.
We meet every week, probably 2 or 3 times a week, on various aspects of where we are with throws.
The float sketches become much like an artist's palette, as a source for the creative elements to help design beads, lighted throws, and stuffed items for the individually themed floats.
We have meetings with every lieutenant.
We had a great meeting this time with a lieutenant whose float is the Golden Gloves float.
Then out of the blue, we decided to do some boxing gloves, and it really did go over well.
Full-size gloves and children's-size gloves in gold color that we'll be able to throw from the floats.
And of course, there are the doubloons, more than 500,000 minted locally for the 1,600 riders in their 3-hour parade.
And for our 50th anniversary, we decided to remint all of our king doubloons from the past 50 years. All 50 for our members. We also offer fine silver custom doubloons.
Perhaps one of the largest and most important aspects of Bacchus is on a deadline all its own: the costumes. In fact, more than 8,000 yards of fabric with 10,000 yards of sequins for the riders. The costumes for the pages are custom fitted and later decorated prior to the parade, so all 25 look alike. The king's attire is pre-measured in advance, then custom fitted in his suite at the hotel on the night of his arrival. Even the crown is custom fitted.
You know, you need reflective colors, and they're adding light to the costumes, which was something new when Bacchus did it. Lots of colors. Each costume and each float is reviewed for the theme, and we go over it that way.
Again, pieces of art that are worked on all year, sketches, color sketches. What do you think? Pieces of fabric put together. How do you put this with this? How does it look? What do you think? It's a lot of work.
December creates one of the first opportunities for the entire Bacchus membership to come together. While the floats here in the den are in their final stages of preparation, this whole place is transformed into a place of smiles and laughter for children.
I want to give back to our members. I want to give back to their friends, their families, their business associates. In December, we have Christmas with Santa. Bring your children. We collect toys for Tots, and then also you can get your picture for Santa on the King's Foot, which is pretty exciting. The kids love that. There's a line waiting for Santa. So it's a great family event.
Santa's visit is also a prelude to the tons of beads arriving weekly that have to be sorted, loaded, and organized by float and each member.
Space really shrinks in our den when all the beads start arriving. So they will arrive as many as 40 containers, so truckload after truckload, unloading throws by pallets into the den. This year it was wonderful to see the Kongs arrive and to see them unwrapped and get ready to be loaded on the float. And slowly the excitement and the activity builds until right after the first of the year, when it is just non-stop activity until Parade Day.
This den will see a lot of transformations throughout the year, but perhaps one of the biggest is in late January as preparations begin for the first big event of the upcoming Mardi Gras season with a members-only party.
This is our 50th year, but for every year of Bacchus, we've been doing our open house. It's the first chance that our members and their families get to see the parade. And of course, 2 weeks later is Bacchus Sunday.
Over 65,000 square feet of den space is transformed in unique Bacchus fashion.
We really wanted to get the children involved. We really wanted to get the wives, spouses, friends, relatives. Mardi Gras is about getting everybody together. Hey, let's make this as big as close as we can to the parade itself.
I'm known as the smoke guy. I like to put smoke on floats. I started with the whale. It originally was blue bubbles or something when it first came out, and that didn't work very well. Bubbles don't work very well in a parade. And then I put smoke on the gator, and now I try to find theme floats there where I can add smoke.
I like the whale also because they put up a smoke machine to make it actually look like it's water coming out of its spout.
We try to put smiles on people's faces. This is what it's all about.
We have a lot to do still, so we'll be working every day moving forward.
Family atmosphere, and truly that's what I want Bacchus to be, is a family. This is a special part that I think Bacchus gives to our members and back.
Just 7 days later, early on Monday morning, tractors arrive to shuffle floats from the den to the convention center. It's all orchestrated by Kern Productions. A 12-hour process from start to finish, and with the appropriate fanfare of motorcycle escort, which is, to a New Orleanian, our daily signal that Mardi Gras is upon us. Bacchus Sunday actually starts a few days before Sunday with the King's arrival. It's the startup to a series of events. The fanfare of the King's arrival, followed by the King's fitting of his regal attire and custom crown. And later in the evening comes an invitation-only King's party. Featuring fireworks over the river.
We want to give him a welcome that they've never seen before. A lot of these kings, they're big known actors and as such, but they've never been treated. This is the one thing that they all tell us when they leave after 4 days of being with us. They've never been treated like a king before.
After a night of revelry, it's on to Children's Hospital Saturday morning for a visit by the King, who brings smiles to all around.
For over 20 years, I've been bringing Bacchus monarchs to Children's Hospital. It is our charity. We support the hospital. It's so important, and it's important for the kids to be exposed to celebrities like ours. We have a little ceremony where every year the kids sort of make a crown for the king, and they present it to him, and he puts it on, and of course he's throwing the balloons and meeting with them and their families, and J.K. did a good job.
While the King is at Children's Hospital, Bacchus is in full setup mode at the Morial Convention Center. Costumes arrive early, and the riders area for costuming is being set up, and last-minute throws are being loaded with the final preparations for the Ride and Rendezvous in full swing.
This morning, as you see, this is the dressing room for 1,700 approximately riders, and basically all they have to do is walk in the door, locate their costume. There's a valet to help them get dressed, cut their mask out, put their costume on them, and then they are ready to ride. They don't want for or need a thing. Everything we prepare for them to make their day as pleasurable as possible.
I don't sleep much Saturday night, so Sunday morning comes, and it's Bacchus Sunday. So there's an awful lot to do. There's not a lot of loose ends, but there's a lot of moving parts. We start, I get up, I go to Mass in the morning, and then we have the king comes over. We're getting dressed. It's a lot of camaraderie. We have 1,600 members. Everyone is in one room in the convention center getting dressed, putting on their costumes. Some people haven't seen each other in a year. Some people see each other every day. But it's friendship, it's family. We have multi-generations that are in the crew of Bacchus now. And so it's great to see the men get together, have a few drinks, relax, enjoy. But it is like a locker room. You can kind of starting to feel that electricity coming. And we're getting ready to get on the float. And they got their game face on. So it's a lot of fun. It's exciting. But we know we got a job to do, and that's to put on a great show on Bacchus Sunday, on the floats for the people on St. Charles Avenue in the parade route. We come out of the dressing rooms. We are all dressed. We get on the floats. Everybody gets on their floats. You start arranging your throws. You start getting, you got to be prepared to be ready to entertain our friends and family and guests and visitors on the parade route.
And so we're about 6 hours from the parade. We've just finished loading the King's float with merchandise. Where you can hear in the background, we're sound testing some of the floats and testing all the lighting. This morning we loaded 320 cases of beads on the float. We've loaded a 250,000 doubloons for the pages, 70,000 doubloons for the King, about 2,000 plush animals, and maybe 30 cases of cups for the King.
Once we get on the float, then we ride down Tchoupitoulas Street to Napoleon. And that's the official start of the crew of Bacchus, is Tchoupitoulas and Napoleon.
As the floats arrive on Tchoupitoulas, you can feel the excitement building all around the neighborhood. It's uniquely New Orleans. Many crew members settle in for a party all their own, with riders, friends, and family gathering to celebrate the day in typical Bacchus style. You'll find grilled oysters, jambalaya, and more. And king cake, of course. With the parade about to start, pages are ushered to the King's float under tight security as the King arrives to cheers and shouts for Bacchus throws. Riders and lieutenants scramble to their floats as last-minute details are worked out. And to the sounds of whistles and marching bands, the Bacchus Guard make their way through the sea of revelers in advance of the King.
An absolute sea of human beings from the left side to the right side. And one of the interesting things, since I've been riding on the King's float probably about 10 or 12 years, I guess, on the other floats, as you're traveling along, you have lulls in the crowd in the sense of not necessarily people, but people are not screaming. They've even caught enough beads from the float before them, and they're just kind of chilling. There is no chilling on the King's float. I mean, these folks are here to see the celebrity, and you hear that guy's name over and over again. And I can't tell you how many people had groups of themselves singing the Farmer's Song for J.K. And it was hilarious. And he, of course, acknowledged each and every one of them. And it was funny as hell. And J.K. just had a ball. I mean, he really enjoyed himself. And we enjoyed having him, and it's nice to say that after a King's reign.
We have worked a lot. We've put in a lot of money into our floats. Barry Kern does a great job. And we want to come down that street and for everyone there to see Bacchus, to say, wow, how beautiful the floats are. Wow, look how much they throw from the floats. You know, we've always been a throwing crew.
And for the 50th, there was a wow factor with the completion of the Kongs and the introduction of the Buccaneer. Bacchus 2018 was a spectacular and amazing event beyond compare.
Bacchus was coming on their 50th anniversary. We're thinking, you know, what could we do? And we thought it was time to basically give them, you know, a new facelift and maybe a whole new, you know, look and feel. And so they're totally new. They're audio animatronics. And when you're building something like the Buccaneers and the Kongs that had animatronics and had all different types of things getting done to them, really the float technically is never finished until it goes out for the parade, you know, because there's always last minute things.
The Buccaneer had been talked about for a number of years, and before I actually got on the board, and I've been hearing about wanting to do the Buccaneer float. I think it's a takeoff on Bacchus, as we've got the Bacchosaurus and the Bacca Gator and the Bacca Whopper and things like that. And there was a lot of movies coming on out about pirates and so forth, and so it was a very nice fit for the crew to have this new float brought about.
The two new floats this year were huge, huge successes between the lighting and the movement of the parts and the figures and the Kongs and Mama Kong putting on the lipstick. And, you know, there's a lot put into these parades, and we hope that our visitors and our citizens appreciate what Mardi Gras does to give the greatest free show on earth.
Bacchus has been responsible for many firsts in Mardi Gras parading. The first super float, the first Celebrity King, and yes, the first crew post-parade party, the Rendezvous. But like everything else Bacchus, there is a bit of history.
Bacchus didn't want to eliminate the traditions in New Orleans. They wanted to expand the opportunities for different people to participate in Carnival.
And in fact, I'll tell you a funny story. There was a guy named Herman Penn, and his job was to build the river gate. And there was a meeting of the river gate, and at that meeting, my father was there. It was a public meeting, and he was new to New Orleans, and so my dad's at the meeting, and you know, everyone knows my dad's not the most quiet guy in the room, and so he raises his hand in the middle of the meeting. He says, "Well, how big are the doors?" And they said, "Well, the doors are big enough to fit a truck in." And my dad goes, "Well, you know, a truck is only 14 foot 6 inches tall. These things, the doors need to be 18 feet tall." And this guy Penn goes, "And why is that?" He says, "Well, because Mardi Gras floats are going to go in this building." And this guy goes, Mr. Penn goes, "There's not going to be any Mardi Gras parades or floats going in this building. This is a convention center. This is for fairs and work shows." He goes, Mr. Penn, you might know a lot about conventions, but I know a lot about New Orleans, and I'm going to tell you right now, Mardi Gras floats will be going in this building." And sure enough, they had to make the doors bigger and the ceilings a little bit higher to make it where the floats could go in.
And the Rendezvous opened it on up, where you could actually purchase a ticket rather than receiving an invitation to a ball, which was very selective. So it broadened what Carnival meant, and it got more people to be able to participate in Carnival, which was great. I think it's just broadening Carnival. It wasn't limiting. It wasn't taking shots at what the other crews were doing. It was just saying, we're doing something different.
And so it was born. And after 50 years, the event is one of the most anticipated during the Carnival season, the Rendezvous.
It's just another lightning bolt of energy. You know, they open up the big wall doors, and there's 9,000 to 10,000 people dressed beautifully, and they're all excited to see us. Well, when we come in, it's come on, Bacchus. We love y'all. Come on in, have a great time, and throw me something. How y'all doing? It's a great experience, but it's electrifying. Yes, absolutely. Just another jolt of energy throughout Bacchus Sunday.
From a bead and doubloon standpoint, the job isn't over yet either. A lot of our floats purchase additional throws from us and ask us to reload them as they pull into the convention center. So if they run out of merchandise on the route, they have a whole new load of throws to throw.
And the Bacchus Rendezvous, in my opinion, And I've been told, you know, a lot of these kings over the last 50 years, now of course I haven't talked to every king, but I've been around for a long time in that king committee and working with the kings because of my family. They all say they've never, ever seen anything like this rendezvous. And these people travel all over the world. They have all kinds of parties they go to. They're treated like kings. They got everything at their disposal. But when they come into the Bacchus Rendezvous and they see what we have worked on for the year to ultimately culminate at the end of the rendezvous, it blows their mind.
At about 3 in the morning, the rendezvous comes to an end, and as the doors open, the revelers depart with beads, ice chests, and most importantly, their memories of a lifetime and dreams in anticipation of next year's event.
We just put to bed the 50th anniversary, and now we're on to 51 years. And this year we'll be starring Louisiana.
The Orpheum Theater was the site of the preview party. Members gathered to get an annual accounting of finances and the listing of upcoming events. While float sketches and historical background of the theme is explained, lieutenants draw tokens for float positioning.
Bacchus has always tried to emphasize the three-dimensionality. They're always trying to add three-dimensional items, mostly to the top and the sides of the float where they have the most impact.
People may not realize this, but there's a lot of talented people involved in producing a parade, from the set designs to the floats to the invitations to all of the paper that go. Even for our open house has artwork included on it that Manuel is doing and other people are doing, and there's a tremendous amount of artistry that goes into Carnival.
And the lights, that to me is the beauty. When the sun starts to set and you see the colorful floats under the canopy of the oak trees, it's magical.
And there you have it, 50 years of history with the magic and innovation of custom designed floats in astonishing detail, unique throws and iconic doubloons, and amazing animatronics with sound and smoke effects that are now part of our rich carnival history. A parade that has truly transformed the Sunday before Mardi Gras into Bacchus Sunday.
The Crew of Bacchus, 50 years of magic and innovation that changed Mardi Gras and New Orleans forever.